Hi, I'm Millie and I'm from the support team here at Farm Focus, and I'll be running this webinar today. Farm Focus is very different to Cash Manager, but this video is here to help you in how to work effectively in Farm Focus and get the most out of your farming business. As with most change, to begin with, it may seem quite overwhelming, but remember our support team is only just a chat or a phone call away, and we're very much here to help and support you. We also have a great help centre with videos, articles, step-by-step instructions, and lots of things to get you going. Within a few months, we do expect that using Farm Focus will save you time, and the information that you'll be getting out of it will be of a better quality, so do bear with us. Just be sharing my screen, and then we'll be covering the ins and outs of the monthly process. I'm aware that it might be information overload, but you can always pause, rewind, and come back to this video at another time. Okay. So when you first log into Farm Focus, up the top here, you'll have your database name. If you click on that, you'll have the other databases that you have access to. So no need to log in and out like you did with Cash Manager. You can just switch between them all in this one tab. Over on the left here, if I expand this menu, this is your navigation menu, so it will take you to the main landing pages around the software. Then down the bottom, we've got some icons here that are quite important with the various options that they have. Your initials in here, if you click through there, you can edit your personal details, your physical address, and your billing details. So ensure once you've switched over that you jump in there and check that sort of information. Then we've got the little question mark that'll take you straight through to our help centre. An abundance of resources, our articles, videos, all sorts in there. Notification bells that will just alert you of various things that you have coming up. Log out, and then this one down the bottom here is our live chat. So with Farm Focus, we have a live chat. If you're working away in your database, you can just open the chat from here, flick us a message, ask us a question, and we'll get back to you promptly. So I'm going to start off with settings, just on the left-hand side here. The first one, farm business. So you've got your trading name, pop in your effective farm area, so your hectares, and down the bottom, again, just check your physical address once you migrate and ensure all details are up to date. Then we have users, so your list of registered users to the database will be listed here. You can add a new one just on the left here, as well as remove any that you might need. Again, now that you've just switched to Farm Focus, a good opportunity to go through and check who's got access and who doesn't, and just monitor that, invite people you need to, etc. Then we jump into financial. So again, you've got your ABN number. Just come in here and check that everything's correct post switching and ensure all of these are filled in correctly. I'll come back to codes as there's quite a lot to it. We'll jump into production. So in here, livestock values and weights, they contribute to your management reports. Again, it comes down to the quality of that you're putting in is what you're going to get out. So it's that really rich data available in your reports. Livestock values, click in here, drop down your stock class and enter them like so, and this contributes to your increase or decrease in capital stock value. Then we have bank accounts. If you've got more than one bank account, they'll be listed here under their bank headings. If you need to add a new bank account, just on the left-hand side, you have that option, as well as setting your default account. We have automatic bank feeds with Rabobank. So in order to set that one up, this is a Rabo account here. I'd click into it, scroll to the very bottom, and download bank feed form. On that form, fill in the missing blanks, and then send it back to us, and we get that up and running for you. If it's not a Rabo bank account, then it will be a manual account, and you'll be uploading your bank transactions like you did in Cash Manager. It will automatically update the monthly balance and things as well. Then we have tags. So if you used enterprises in Cash Manager, they are now called management tags. So a management tag allows you to track revenue and expenses, as well as stock. So it's essentially keeping track of another revenue stream of your farming business. We also have cost tags in Farm Focus. So given the name, they track farm expenditure. So if you're doing a new project, you've got some fencing on, new drain, wool shed upgrade, anything like that, you can create a cost tag, and all expenditure transactions can be set to that cost tag. So then you can run a report, say, and find out how much that project costed you. So management tag, revenue and expenses, cost tag, just expenses. Then we have connectors. So we have a connector with Invoice Scanner. So again, the whole new workflow with Farm Focus is to use invoices. So as you receive invoices via email each month, you can set up Invoice Scanner and forward them directly into your database. When you set up Invoice Scanner in here, you'll get a personalized email address, which is your database name at Scan to Focus. You'll be forwarding those invoices to that email address and they'll appear in your database. I just want to touch on that the Invoice Scanner is artificial intelligence. So although it does its best to read your invoices, it does need to be taught, and consistency is very much key with that. Lots of videos and help articles on the Invoice Scanner and how to teach it. So I'd recommend having a look into that as well. Then we've got contacts. So these are other parties from Cash Manager. They'll all be listed here. If you send tax invoices out, every other party must have a full postal address and email address if you're wanting to email the tax invoice directly to that client. So they all need to be listed in your system. You can search for contacts just up here, as well as show inactive. So if you make any contacts inactive or did, then you can always reactivate them if you need to. Also add in new ones to the left here as well. Given that you've just switched to Farm Focus as well, I find this a really good opportunity to go through your contacts. So go through and make any inactive by clicking on these three little dots that you don't use anymore, and just having a bit of a tidy up. Perfect. And then lastly, we've got asset register. So this is essentially just a list that you can develop. Your asset register information from Cash Manager does not come across, so you do need to re-enter it in here. You'll just click on add an asset and fill in the blanks here. Perfect. So now I'll jump back to codes. So the first thing up the top here is your farm code. So you'll be familiar to this from Cash Manager. This is your code list that's switched with you. When you first come in here, these are sections. If we expand it one more, we've got categories. And then if we expand it one more, we've got our extended codes. If I want to add a new extended code, I'll hover my mouse over the category that I want the code to sit under. And then again, clicking on those three little dots, we have the option to add a new extended code. So in here, I can pop in my extended code. So I'll put in L. I'm going to put in Lucerne, business GST, it's income. And then down here, I've got my KPI reporting group. So KPI reporting group, key performance indicator, is super important for your economic farm surplus report. It determines where items sit. So if anything looks funny in any of your management reports, it often comes back to this KPI reporting group. So just ensure that you've got one set up and that it's correct. So now I can click done on my code. And there it is there. So that's my new code sitting there. If I go through in these codes that I don't want anymore or I don't use, clicking on the three little dots, I can deactivate it and hide it away just to keep my code list nice and tidy. If I accidentally make one inactive or in the future I need it back, just click on show inactive and it will be just there grayed out for us to, once again, three little dots, edit, and then you'll be able to make it active again. I'm going to specifically look at a stock code as there's quite a lot of detail in behind it. So I'm just going to use this calves code here as an example. So I'm just going to double click into it and we're just going to see the breakdown of it. So beef is the category code, CA extended code, I've got my name, calves, GST business, and it's set as stock. So all stock codes must be set to stock. And then you get the various options below. So settlement delay, you can enter in here if required, stock units, and then aging and breeding. So aging is crucial. Farm Focus has the option to automatically age your stock at the end of each financial year, which I really recommend utilising. So ensure that when you are looking at your stock codes that you've got them aging correctly. So my calves code that I'm in just now is aging to nothing. So I want to change that and age them to, say, some cows. And then down here we've got breeding status. So we're in a calves code, so we're setting the breeding to progeny. But if I was in a cows code, I would set it to breeding or secondary breeding, or if I was in a bulls code, it would be set to none. Again, really important when it comes down to entering your births, your non-financial livestock events, so that you can enter your calves against a parent. And then down here, KPI reporting group, once again, hugely important. And you've also got the option to add in these details about the yield, etc. below. Perfect. So that's your farm codes. Again, as I reiterated before, really good opportunity to go through them and tidy them up. If there are codes that you no longer need since you've made the switch. I've got coding rules, so they're your auto coding rules from Cash Manager. Your auto codes that you would have been using did not make the switch with you to Farm Focus. The coding rules in Farm Focus are a lot more focused and specialised, so they are required to be set up again. Bank transaction coding rules and invoice coding rules. Again, the workflow that I'll get into is the use of invoices. So we've got both here. You can set them up within here. So I've got one set up just now, but I recommend setting them up within the actuals, as I'll get into in a bit. So any coding rules will be listed here. Again, if you no longer require them or you need to edit, these three little dots have those options for you. And same with invoice coding rules, they'll be sitting in there. Code split rules, so for your electricity or your private car or anything like that, they'll be sitting in here. You'll set them up in here, add new rule, enter the code, pop in the percentage of the split, and then each time you use that code, the system will automatically split it for you. Then down the bottom here, we've got general ledger accountant codes. So these will have come across. Your accountant will be responsible for them. The numbers will be in here. And in your code list, if you see any numbers next to the codes, they are your accountant codes as well. Perfect. So that's codes. That's all the settings done. So now we're going to, on this navigation menu, head to the dashboard. So here is the dashboard, essentially the landing page of your Farm Focus database. It's a snapshot of your farming business and the data that you can get out of it is further in. So up the top there, you've got your cash flow, which is a snapshot and your plan going forward. You've got your bank balances, so any bank accounts that you have in your database will be listed here. Any invoices that are due, some further information down here. And these interactive pie charts, which are nice and visual. If you hover your mouse over, you can see where your money's been earned and where it's been spent. On this dashboard too, you'll notice there are quick links to a lot of these various pages around your database, so you can quickly go to your balancing if you need or view some invoices. So now we'll head into actuals. So this here is the needs action screen, which is where you'll spend a lot of time, not dissimilar to the transaction screen that you're used to in Cash Manager. You'll notice that it's split in half. On this side, you've got invoices, and on this side, you've got bank transactions. So when you're forwarding your invoices to the invoice scanner, they'll appear on the left-hand side here. We can see these three here have the little blue symbol to indicate that they have come from invoice scanner. And on the right hand side, you'll have all of your bank transactions, whether or not you're with Rabobank and they've come in automatically through the feed, or whether you are importing your transactions or uploading them from your bank. So just on that note, to upload a bank transaction file, you'll need to download the file from your internet banking as you normally would. And then just up the top here, you've got the file upload option. Click into there, click into bank transaction file, upload that file, and that'll bring all of your transactions in on the right-hand side here. I like to refer to the screen as a book. I like to say you work from left to right, so do all your coding on the left, and then match them to transactions that are sitting on the right. As we'll go through, once you do all your coding and you match all your invoices off to the right, whatever transactions are left here are the ones that you'll manually code. Those are the ones with no invoices. So the first thing I want to show is how to create a tax invoice. So just up the top here, you'll click on Create Tax Invoice, pop in the date, we can make one now. Pop in September, due date 20th of October. Other parties, so as we were in context before, for a tax invoice that you're sending out, the client must be loaded as a contact in your system. If you don't have them loaded as a contact, you can click Add New from this screen here. They do require a full postal address and an email address if you wish to email it directly from Farm Focus to your client. So we'll click on this one and we'll code the line. So I'm selling some hay. Perfect. So I've got my information on there. If I need to add more things, I can click Add New Line and pop that in. Down the bottom here, we've got Save Draft. So if I'm not quite sure that I'm happy with the information or I need to confirm it, I can save it as a draft. So I'll save my progress, and then when I come back, I can preview and generate it and at another time. Then we've got Preview and Generate. So when we click on that, we can see what the invoice is going to look like. And we can also tick this box to email it directly to that client. So I'm happy with it. I click Generate and Send. It automatically saves a download to my computer, just down here. And it also saves an attachment in my Farm Focus invoice as well as alerting me that it's been sent. So that one has gone. Now it sits on the left-hand side just down here, and it's waiting to be matched to the corresponding bank transaction once that client pays me and the transaction comes into your database. Invoices sitting here that are grey in colour and sort of blending in with the background, that indicates that they're fully coded. Anything showing as white and somewhat 3D, that means it's not fully coded, so therefore we cannot match it just yet. So if we come into this invoice, I can see that it's come from Invoice Scanner, and as we were talking about before, Invoice Scanner is artificial intelligence, so it does so much, but it does need to be taught. I'm pretty happy with how it's read this invoice. If I was missing a few things and the line amount wasn't quite right, I would need to click on Fill in the gaps just at the bottom here, and that way I can actually show Invoice Scanner what information I wanted to pick up. But I'm pretty happy with this. And so I can code it. So I'll just pop that to fertilizer, and then I would click Save. The beauty of Invoice Scanner as well is it automatically saves a PDF attachment. So again, that whole paperless office, I've got all my documents there, no need to print anything. Everything's nice and tidy. So this one here, uncoded invoice. I've also got this invoice here. It's showing white in colour, so it still needs coding. I click into it. Once again, I'm happy with how the Invoice Scanner has read it, but if I wasn't, I'd click on Fill in the gaps down the bottom. This is a regular invoice that I'm always sending in. It's a regular one, so I actually want this. I want to save an invoice coding rule so that the system will automatically code this for me, so each month I don't need to worry about it. So what I want to do is I'm going to code them both, and I know that they're going to be coded to the same thing. So I hover my mouse over here, I tick the little box, tick this one as well, and now I can code, and the system will code them both at the same time for me. So I'll just put this on here. Perfect, and then it's coded it for me. But I want to set up a coding rule particularly for this one here, say, because it's a regular invoice. So just once I've coded it, clicking on these three wee dots on the far right hand side, we want to click New Coding Rule. Up pops this criteria, so it's using the line description. The other party of my invoice as well. These never change, so that's a good criteria. This one here, the reference, it's got lots of numbers. That reference actually might not be consistent all the time. Then we can actually just click the wee rubbish bin and remove it. We want the criteria to be as specific as possible, but also as simple as possible. So removing that reference is a good idea. Then down here, because I've already coded it, it's always going to code the full amount to that code that I entered before. So I'm happy with that. Next time this invoice comes in, this system will just automatically code that for me. So that's perfect. So now I can click Save, and all my invoices are now fully coded, and we can do some matching. So what we want to do, clicking into the matching screen just up the top here, we've got invoices on the left and bank transactions on the right. We can search for a specific invoice if we want, and we can also search for a specific transaction on the right as well. So this one here, I've found my farmer invoice, and you'll notice that the system automatically populates the best match on this right hand side as well. So it's picked up that transaction. I'll click on that, and then I'll click match. So the beauty of this is we've already done the coding in the invoice. So that's being proactive. So we could code ahead of time. And then as soon as those transactions are in our database, we don't need to worry about the coding. We can just match them off. So it's a really proactive workflow. So there might be some other things on here that we can match. So I've got, let me have a look. This one here, hem and spreading. Same again, it populates the best match at the top for us. We can see that the total of the invoice matches the total of the transaction, and then we can click match. The fuel, so I've ticked on my fuel invoice, click on the transaction, same again, we can see that the totals match, and then we can click match. Yeah. So we've matched everything that we can. Head back to needs action, and we've only got a few transactions left. So as I was saying before, you want to do all your coding on the left and match them to bank transactions on the right. But for those transactions where you don't have an invoice, good examples are your bank charges or your account fees or things like that, then you can just manually code them on this right-hand side once you've done all that other matching. So to excuse me, so to manually code a bank transaction, you'll just click into it, select code, and then you'll just be able to pop in your code. Same again, if you just type in keywords or if you type in the extended code that you want to use, then it's nice and quick, and then we just click save, and that way that transaction goes straight to your completed screen. These two here, we can see they've got a purple symbol on them. That purple symbol indicates they've got a bank transaction coding rule on them, which means that the system recognises them and codes them automatically for us. And all we then need to do is just click on Run Coding Rules. So we don't even need to click into the transaction. We just need to click Run Coding Rules. So we'll set up another coding rule for this one here. So when you are setting up a bank transaction coding rule, you want to click into the transaction. Same again, we want to click on code. If I just type in working general, say, I can pop in a line description if I want. And then in the top right-hand corner, we want to click on this little symbol here that says new coding rule. and up pops this criteria. So my criteria is just strictly going off other party for this one. So every time rural company comes in, the system's going to code the full amount to this code here that I entered. Down at the bottom, you've got the review, so individually or as part of a group. So individually means the system will code the transaction for you, but you'll still have to click into the transaction to commit that coding rule. So they're for things that you might want to double check before sending them straight off to the completed screen. And it just, yeah, it's a last minute check. Whereas as part of a group, the system will just automatically code them. And like those other two we saw on the screen, they'll just sit there fully coded until we click that button that says run coding rules. So these are for things like the bank charges or the interest or things that are always going to be the same. So for this one, we'll click as part of a group and then click save. Once we click save, we can see that this purple symbol has now appeared. So we know that the coding rule has been set. So next time this transaction comes in, the system will automatically code it for me. So now we'll click save and same again, that will disappear off to the completed screen. So just on that, anything in this needs action screen requires your attention. So any invoices still sitting here, they either haven't been paid, they haven't been matched, or any bank transactions here, they haven't been coded or matched. Perfect, so now we've got these two sitting here with the bank transaction coding rules sitting there. We can click on run coding rules and that'll send them both to the completed screen. So coding rules are great, just like your auto coding in Cash Manager. It just means less manual process and more automation. Same as other screens around the software. This is a clickable header. You can sort by any of these things here on both sides. So if you want to sort by other party, you can. Otherwise, you can sort by due date. Same with these ones over here as well. You can also record a bank transaction manually one by clicking on here. And same with an invoice, money in or money out. You can manually record. The other thing is, as we're talking about Invoice Scan, it automatically saves an attachment for you. But if you had a transaction that you didn't have an invoice in Farm Focus for, you can always click into the transaction, and in the top right-hand corner, you've got the paperclip. So you can either browse for a file on your computer, or you can drag and drop into the screen. It will save an attachment. Perfect. So this is that's sort of the needs action screen. We've done the matching. The next thing we want to do is jump into completed. So this completed screen, again, not dissimilar to the transaction screen that you're used to in Cash Manager. This is where all of your coded transactions and matched invoices from that needs action screen come when they've been coded or matched. In here, you can change the financial year. So given that you've just migrated from Cash Manager, you've got your 3 previous financial years available here in transaction form. You can be in coded lines, which is the breakdown of every single coded line that you've done, or you can be in transactions view, which will show you the transactions at full. Same again, you've got a clickable header, so you can sort by various other things. So if I want to even sort by a code, say in coded line view, we can do that as well. You've got this nice search option as well, so if you're looking for something in particular, you can just type it in and it will filter specific things for you. If you notice that you incorrectly coded something, you can change it in this coded lines view just by clicking on this wee magnifying glass, backspacing the code, and then you can change it from there. Even if it's been through GST and it's not changing the GST component, then you can just change it from here as well. Then we'll jump into the tax invoices tab. So once you've generated tax invoices, they'll appear here. They'll also have a sent token if you've sent them directly to your client. They'll also have the balance in here. So that would be 0 once they've all been paid. Same again, you've got the search function, you've got the clickable header so you can sort. And if you delete something, you've also got that show deleted toggle there. If you want to customize your tax invoice, so add a logo or add notes at the bottom, just in the right-hand corner here, we've got settings. You can set your GST default to be exclusive or inclusive when you're generating tax invoices. Drop your logo in here or add any notes. So these notes here appear at the bottom of your invoice, and they do default to every tax invoice that you generate. So the things like please pay by the 20th or Merry Christmas or please put your name in the reference, things like that. If you pop in client-specific information in here, just remember that you'll need to remove it before you generate another tax invoice. Then up here we've got repeating. So if you set up any invoices to repeat, these might be for rent, they'll all appear here and they'll be scheduled to repeat on that day every single month, or if you do it a different frequency, they'll repeat as you set them up. Then we've got the balancing screen. So gone are the days of reconciling like you did in Cash Manager. In Farm Focus, it's called balancing, and it's actually daily balancing. So in here at the moment, we can see we've got this green line that says balanced up to the 31st of October. So that's ideally what you want to be looking at, before you're finalising a GST worksheet. At the end of each month, the month will shrink, so it keeps it nice and tidy. But if you're needing to look at something specific, you can still drop down the month and see those transactions all in there as per the day they occurred. The focus balance up here refers to the coded transactions that are in here. The bank balance should be correct off your bank statement, and that includes everything that's occurred at your bank at that very moment in time. So at the moment here, this bank account is currently unbalanced, and the only reason for that is because I still need to code these two transactions. So again, a balanced account is this green line with one balance that's showing in black that indicates both of these balances correspond. Same as the completed screen, you can change financial year view in here. You can also customize a date range. And just to the right of that, if you've got multiple bank accounts in your database, they need to be balanced individually, so you can change between the two here. You've also got a deleted tab in here, so if you accidentally delete a transaction, you can head to that deleted tab to restore it. Balancing is sort of the last step of your monthly workflow. As long as your account's balanced, then you can be pretty happy to go ahead and do that GST worksheet. The thing about the balancing in Farm Focus is it is automated. It does save a lot of time, and it's very easy to see what's going on given that it's day by day. And if you've got that Rabobank feed, they come in automatically, and even if you're uploading that bank file, they still bring in those monthly balances, so you can be pretty confident with how things are looking. I also do just want to touch on that if you have just come over from Cash Manager and your account is unbalanced, give our support team a call and we'll be able to assist with that one. So now that we've done all of that, we want to head back to the navigation menu. I'll expand it out. We want to now head down to reports. And then down here, we want to head into GST Worksheets. In here, you'll see your previous GST worksheets that you've finalised. This one here is highlighted in blue as this is the current one that we're needing to do. So we click in there. This information here will be quite familiar to you. And if we scroll down at the bottom, we've got coded lines. If we expand that out, you can see all coded lines that are included in this worksheet. Again, clickable header. So if you want to double check things, you can sort by code or GST type and just give it a once over. Again, if you want to print this out, you can include the coded lines or just the GST worksheet itself. It will save a download to your computer, which you can then print off. So I'm happy with this. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to click Finalize, and that's going to lock all of those transactions into that period. In this screen here, you've also got a link to go straight to the ATO. It will take you to their website where you can log in should you need to go there. So that's essentially the monthly workflow and farm focus in a nutshell. I just want to recap it slightly. So you've got your invoices that have been sent to you via email. You forward them to your invoice scanner email. They appear on the left-hand side of your database where you code them. Then if you're with Rabo, your bank transactions will automatically come through. Or if you've got a manual account, you'll upload your bank transaction file they'll appear here on the right. Match all of your invoices to the bank transactions using the matching tab. Any leftover bank transactions for that period, you'll manually code or set up bank transaction coding rules. Then you might check in completed, check your coding. Then you want to check balancing, make sure your account's balanced for that period, and then you're ready to finalise that GST worksheet under reports. So that's it. I'll leave it there. I'm aware that it might have been information overload and a little bit to get used to, but I do just want to reiterate that our support team very much are only a chat or a phone call away to help, as well as our help centre, which is lots of videos and articles and things to help and support you.